a blue piece of paper to which I'm going to add my cloud motif. Now in a lot of Asian art you'll see stylized clouds, so they're not big puffy cotton balls, but they look more like wind and clouds combined. You may use an oil pastel if you have. If you don't have that, feel free to use a Sharpie or crayon. I'm going to create my spiraling shapes to create the idea of some clouds, and I'm linking them together in kind of a shape of a cloud, and then I might come over and add another shape. I can of a system of clouds, so now I have two cloud formations up in my sky. I might want to put another one here, maybe going off the edge, so it completes the space. I have now 3 areas of clouds. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut out some different rectangle shapes that I want to use for my buildings. So I think for that I'm going to use my newspaper. If I want, I can use colored paper. It can be a neutral color or it can be a bright color. I'm going to cut out a couple different shapes. I'm going to cut out a taller rectangle shape to make kind of a large tower. And then I might want to cut out a smaller shape for a smaller, what will become a smaller building. Now again, if I'm using solid colored paper, it might look something like this. If I'm using magazine paper, it might look something like this. Okay, lots of different choices. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how to cut my pagoda rooftops. So now I'm going to do the next one. Now my next building is very small, so I'm going to take the folded edge of my paper, put it halfway across. I'm going to mark it. So on this one I've measured at the fold again the distance halfway across my square. So I know when I cut this one, it will fit. So here's an example of something more elaborate. And I can put this on the top of this building. Now I'm going to show you on this one how we can have multiple rooftops on one tall building. So again, I'm going to measure halfway across. I can mark it, and that's how I know how big I'm going to make this. Now here I'm going to cut many small rooftops. So again, I'm going to kind of cut it in that sloping L shape. So this is a little bit more elaborate. When I open it up, this is going to be the top of my building. And then I'm going to do another one that's going to fit a little bit lower on my building. If I wanted to put these guys on a street, what I would do then is I would take some of my black paper and I would cut the length of my street. Now, if I want it to be in a park setting, I would use green. Right now, I'm gonna put it on a street scene, so I'm gonna move these guys up a little bit. I haven't glued anything down yet, so I can arrange this how I want it to be. And you can see how now they appear on the street. Okay, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna cut a few windows, I think. I have some brown paper here. My windows can be any shape I want. They could be circular, hexagons, diamonds. I'm gonna just cut a couple of windows to place on my buildings that are rectangles. Maybe I want a few doors. I can place the doors down lower at street level. But you can see here how I can experiment with symmetry, right? I can have a very symmetrical looking building with one window, and I can have a very symmetrical looking building with two windows side by side. It's up to you how you want to arrange the architecture of your buildings. The last thing I'm going to do is create some lanterns to hang on my buildings so that they're very festive. And I'm going to use this year's motif of the ox on my lanterns. So for that, I have some red paper here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my red paper so I can get multiple shapes. So I'm going to make some lanterns that are circular. Now you can draw this out if you want, but I find it easy just to kind of cut the shape that I want because I like it to be a little bit handmade looking. So I'm going to trim this a little bit, and I've just made two lantern shapes, like little balloons, that I'm going to hang on my building, maybe near my door, so I didn't have a door here yet. And I'm going to create some smaller ones for the other buildings because they're so little. And I'm going to make those in a little bit different shape. Maybe I'm going to I actually think I'm going to hang them from the roof. I think that will be interesting. So I'm going to have these, when I glue them down, they will hang from the rooftops. You can have them hang by the door too. It's up to you. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to draw the either the character for ox or the picture of an ox onto my lanterns. So I'm going to use a Sharpie for this. You may start with a pencil if you need to, but it's up to you what you're comfortable with. So this would be an example if I just wanted to put an ox. On my lantern. I could do that. I can come back and do the character. Excuse my writing, but there you go. When you have it all together, you're going to glue it down and you'll have your beautiful finished landscape scene of Asian inspired buildings. I showed you earlier a street scene, and now what I'd like to do is show you how to create the same thing that we were doing earlier with the buildings, but maybe in a more stylized landscape of a park setting. So what I've done here is I created mountains and some hills. Now I'm going to kind of create a tree, I think, that's going to sit in my landscape. And I have here someplace some brown I can use for my trunk of my tree. So you can see how now I'm creating a totally different image of maybe a pagoda or a temple with Asian inspired roof.